parent meeting that we're obviously doing virtually. We'd like to introduce ourselves and everybody. I'm Mitch Gross, principal at West High School. It's very nice to meet you, and it's just great being back in the school spirit of things. It was a very, very quick summer, I think, for all of us. But having said that, I think all of us are going to really enjoy having a school full of children again and students. And today was our first day full back with our teachers. We had an excellent first day. So I'm going to go through and let folks introduce themselves. Molly, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. I'm Molly Abraham, West High assistant principal. I'm kind of part-time now because I actually retired a couple of years ago, but anyway, I'm here a few days a week.
Great. Maureen?
Hi, everyone. I'm Maureen Head. I'm one of the new assistant principals. If you recognize me, though, I may have taught your kid in Earth and Space Science or freshman science class over the past 10 years. Happy to be with everyone tonight.
Ms. Eustace?
I was afraid you skipped me. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny Eustace. You might recognize me as well. I used to teach biology and AP biology at West. And last year I was our interim dean of students. And this year I'm also one of our assistant principals.
Great. And Craig?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Hegel. I am the athletic director here at West High. I'm excited to get started with my 6th year here at West, and welcome to everybody. We looking forward to getting to meeting your students on Monday.
Wonderful. And on here before, but he might have gotten knocked off of our Zoom, we're trying to get him back on, is our administrative fellow, Garrett Hartwig. So we're hopefully we can get him back on as well. Oh, there he is. There is Garrett. Sorry, Garrett.
No worries. Hello, everyone. My name is Garrett Hartwig, as Mr. Gross said. I'll be going to my 14th year here at West High. I've been a language arts teacher for the previous 13, and be taking on an administrative role in the fellow position. So I look forward to getting that process started, and it'll be nice that I'll know a lot of students in the building, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Excellent. We have two of our guidance counselors with us, Greg Yoder and Paul Breitbach. So if you guys each want to introduce yourselves.
Sure, I'm Greg Yoder, guidance counselor, and I believe this is my 9th year at West, 20 something in education. I actually have the students who have last names K through Q.
My name's Paul Breitbach. This is, I think, year 27. I stopped counting after a while, but last letters A through D, and welcome to everybody.
Wonderful. Not able to be here with us tonight are our other guidance counselors, Kelly Bergman and Kay DeLeo. So, and we'll talk more about them a little bit as we go through our guidance office. And I'm preparing to start my 19th year in education. 17 of those have been at West. And I joked with our faculty this morning that yesterday marked my 1-year anniversary of being named principal at West. So I feel like we're in a much better spot August 18th, 2021 than we were August 18th, 17th, 2020. So having said that, we'll go over a little bit of our agenda for tonight. We're going to do introductions, which we just did. We'll go over a brief overview of West, especially for those of you that are new to us. We'll talk about the new student orientation that is happening on Friday. We have a new bell schedule this year that we want everybody to be familiar with. We'll introduce AFT, academic focus time, to you. We've got some technology tips. We've got bell schedules on there twice, so that's already a great start. And then we'll kind of go over our student expectations, and then how can you and your child get involved at West. The chat is disabled for this meeting, but we will be doing a question and answer feature, so you can see the Q&A. Please put a question in, and our esteemed panelists will be working in real time to respond to you. And then at the end of this webinar, we will also have time for questions as well. So we want to make sure that you all get your questions answered tonight. You know, we're really proud of our school and proud of our motto, where excellence is a tradition. For those of you who are new to West, welcome. We're so glad to have you. And we think you've made a great choice. From our perspective, and not just our perspective, but from a lot of the data points out there, your child will be attending the #1 ranked high school in Iowa. For example, last year we had 30 national merit semifinalists, which was a state record for the state of Iowa. Our current enrollment, as we are anticipating for the 21-22 school year, will be just over 1,500 students. And you can see with our freshman class, they're a little bit larger than our previous classes. So our seniors are about 376, juniors 359, sophomores 373, and freshmen 407. And for full disclosure, I have a daughter who will be a junior and a daughter who will be a freshman. So there are two of those numbers as well. We also have 100 of the best teachers you're ever going to meet and find anywhere. We are so very, very proud and humbled and honored to work with such an amazing faculty that we have here at West. And we have 80 outstanding dedicated support staff in our office, our custodial staff, our kitchen staff, our paraeducators. We just, we're really, really fortunate to have amazing people working here at school. And you can rest assured that you're going to have great people working with your kids. As I mentioned on Friday, we'll have a new student orientation. So that is for any person who is new to the area, for any freshman, also for any sophomore who was online last year for the entire year. And that program starts at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. And when students get here at 10 o'clock on Friday morning, they will proceed to the West High practice gym. And then we'll have a little moment with them from the administrators and kind of walk through things with them. And then your student will go through a modified, very short schedule so they can practice walking from class to class and get to meet each one of their teachers during that time. And at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Ms. Eustace, who's going to talk about our bell schedule.
Fantastic. So the first 2 weeks of school, for actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, we are going to be following this normal bell schedule, so 7 periods a day. After the first 2 weeks of school, we are going to transition, and Mr. Gross, if you want to click to the next slide, we're going to transition to our academic focus time schedule that we will be running on Tuesdays and Fridays. You'll notice we've extended our academic focus time to 40 minutes. So we think a longer period of time, fewer days a week, will allow teachers to have more time to do test retakes, to do reteaching, to help students master proficiency in the standards of their courses. And then we have, if you want to go to the next slide, our early out Thursdays. So last year we were doing early outs on Wednesdays. This year, early release schedule will be happening on Thursdays. So instead of releasing at 4 p.m., we are releasing at 3 p.m. on every single Thursday.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Eustace. And Mr. Hartwig, do you want to talk a little about student expectations with attendance and cell phones?
Absolutely. This year in the fellow position, I'll be working with student attendance and things of that nature. And this has been an expectation that we laid out, since March 2020. Attendance has been very difficult. Students put into quarantine, students not allowed to attend school because of close contact, things of that nature. With a more normalized schedule, we are going to do our absolute best to make sure students maximize their potential in the classroom and their learning, and classroom attendance and punctuality is a huge part of that. Moving forward through the year, and this is clear with the staff here at West High, and it will be made crystal clear with the students as we go forward. Students are expected to be in their classes when the bell rings. They have 5 minutes to transition from class to class. West High is a big campus, a big facility. 5 minutes is enough time to get from the band wing all over to the other side of the building, provided that a student just moves at a normal pace. They don't wander around, take their time, but students are able to get to every class with plenty of time, but they are expected to be in class and on time daily. If a student arrives late to class after the tardy bell rings between the 1 and 5 minutes, they will be counted tardy by their teacher. And we understand extenuating circumstances. Our teachers will always work with students, but they need to be in class when the bell rings. A student will be counted late, if they arrive 5 minutes after the class, but before half the class period expires without a valid reason or legitimate reason for being late. And the reasons can be a note from another teacher finishing up a test in a previous class, visiting with their guidance counselor, things of that nature, but they have got to be in class on time. Within 1 to 5 minutes, it's a tardy. between 6 minutes and halfway through the class period, because class period times are different depending on the day, it will be counted as late. If a student does not make it to class in the first half of the period without a legitimate reason, they will be counted unexcused. They will be expected and they will stay in the class for the duration of the period, but it is counted as unexcused. And that is important as we move forward, because if a student accrues 3 unexcused tardies, that will equivocate to 1 unexcused absence. 2 lates, and that will equivocate to 1 unexcused absence. If a student has 6 unexcused absences from a class, they will be dropped from the class. Now, with that in mind, we as a staff, administrators, counselors, teachers, we are not out to get kids by any stretch of the imagination. Absences, unexcused absences will be communicated with the student, with parents, multiple times. You will never hear, and it will never be a surprise from us to you, that your child has 6 unexcused absences. They are now dropped from the class. The student will know, parents will know. We will be in constant communication with everybody. One note that we will, one line in the sand, so to speak, that we will really watch diligently. If students have an unexcused absence, but they are reported as being on campus, that is a hard unexcused absence, in the sense that that will go on their record as one of the 6 that could potentially lead to a drop. If a student has more than 6 unexcused absences, but they have not been on campus, we will investigate the situation. We understand that things happen outside of school. A family may have to leave Iowa City for a time, and a parent or a guardian may not have the opportunity to call absences in, but they're legitimate. We are not going to drop a student immediately. If you haven't had a chance to check your student or to get your student's attendance corrected, things like that, we're going to investigate that. But if students are skipping class and they're on campus, they do that a total of 6 times, they will be dropped from that class. And we will have plans in place for what they will do that period that they've been removed. And again, we're not hunting kids down. We're not out to get them. We're going to work with students. We're going to communicate. They'll understand the expectations. But a key to success at the school, number one, is attendance and engaging in activities in the class. And if students are able to do that, they're going to have a tremendous amount of success. But you will hear from us. We will be very clear. It will never be a surprise. But number one, we want to get students in class and to participate in what their teacher's doing, because we have a great teaching staff. This is a great school. And our number one priority is to help students maximize their potential. And on that note, if you moving forward, cell phones are a part of life now. Every single individual, every student, every teacher in the building, we all have cell phones, and that is totally fine. We do want to mitigate the consequences of cell phone and the distractions they cause in learning. We are going to have a blanket procedure, so to speak, when it comes to cell phones in the school this year. And if they become a distraction for a student and they prevent a student from learning and engaging in course material, we're going to do everything we can from a teaching standpoint and administrative standpoint to help students have success. And if that means monitoring cell phone use and limiting cell phone use, we will do that. Again, this is another area that will be communicated 100%. This will never be a surprise. We will have a couple of blanket policies. Teachers now know that when they are beginning class, they will make the statement, "Please put your phones away." And when that statement is made by the teacher, students are on the clock, so to speak. Class has begun. From that point forward, at the teacher's discretion, if they deem a cell phone is taking away from instructional time, a teacher will then follow a set of procedures to make sure that a student is not distracted by their phone. There are instances, as we all know, where as a teacher myself, I had students use their phone for certain activities in a class. That is 100% okay. Teachers have that discretion. But when the teacher does say, "Please put your cell phones away," from that point forward, students are on the clock, so to speak, and learning has begun, teaching has begun. If a teacher has an issue where they feel a cell phone is taking away from engagement in the class, they will go to a student and tell them, "You need to secure your phone." When a student hears that phrase, that is technically what we're going to call the first offense. And teachers, again, are not looking to do this. They're not seeking kids out by any stretch, but they know that, so student A over in this corner is not getting the instruction they need because they're on their phone when they shouldn't be. Secure your phone is their first offense. The teacher will conference with the student. They'll let the student know. And then hopefully we can both all move on from there. The second offense, if a teacher has to say secure your phone a second time, then a call home will be made by the teacher to you as parents so that you know that we've had some issues in class with your child, with your student getting distracted from learning with their cell phones. On the third offense, if this happens, what we will do is go to the class and the student will be removed for the class period for the day. And we will take them to our SASD, our student success center, more or less, and they will finish the class period in there. We'll talk about, you need to make sure you're engaging in class. Let's not let the phones be a distraction. And then the fourth and subsequent offense will be handled by administration. And this may entail a situation where students need to turn their phones in at the start of the day so they are not distracted in classes. And again, communication will come from us to you. It will be made crystal clear to the student, crystal clear to the parents on where they sit if cell phone violations are a problem. And we're not looking for it. This isn't something that we're going to focus on, but as a teacher of 14 years, we understand that some instruction's lost if students are not engaging, and cell phones can take away from that at times. And we want to help our students at West have a great career, have a great academic experience. And again, this will all be communicated. So this will be made clear. That was made clear to the staff today. We're going to remind students through the first week of school, and that's where we're headed from there.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Hartwig. One thing we would really appreciate as well, parents and families, is as you get to know your student's schedule, please refrain from calling or texting during class. We get things come up, but we'd really like to have that time be meaningful and focus on instruction. So it puts our staff in an awkward spot when a student says, "Hey, my mom's texting, I gotta get my phone out," or "I've got to call my dad back real quick." So if you can learn their schedule and call them during the appropriate times during passing time as well as lunch, we would really, really appreciate that. Ms. Eustace, technology.
For sure. All right. Every student should have a Chromebook. We are a one-to-one building and district. If your student has not yet upgraded their device from last year, they can bring it to new student orientation on Friday and exchange it in the library. Make sure they also bring their charger, or they could do this on the first day of school in the library as well. I believe we have around 200 to 300 students that still need to upgrade their device from last year. The new devices are fantastic. Infinite Campus is the new student information system. I noticed there were several questions about Infinite Campus in the chat. It is something we are all learning. So if you could give us your patience and grace, we would really appreciate it. But again, attendance will be housed there, grades will be housed there, schedules will be housed there. Canvas is what we call our learning management system. So teachers are going to post their daily slides there, their activities, their assignments, their calendar. Every single class should be using our West High template page. So students should have a similar experience on every single Canvas landing page, which we hope helps them navigate Canvas as a learner as well. For parents, for Canvas, the universal login is iowacityschool.instructure.com. This has been around for a while, so several of you probably almost all have a login. If you don't, there is a little button in the upper right-hand corner that will say, click here for an account. You will have to do a pairing code, which your student can get you through their Canvas account themselves. Otherwise, we can help you through that as well. You can call me, I can help you with that. Class assignments will automatically be added. If you add yourself as an observer to your students' classes, you can see when their assignments are due, their Canvas calendar, etc. As I mentioned, all teachers should have a common Canvas landing page, so they should all look similar in terms of what a student is doing during the week, when major things are due, what homework they have, when tests are, etc. Infinite Campus is the fun new thing. Parent portal links were sent in June. I didn't sign my own children up in June. I didn't click on the link, so I had to do this myself. If you need a new link to access your parent portal, please email helpdesk@iowacitysschools.org. They're very responsive. They will email you back a new parent portal link that you should be able to click on and get into that parent portal. Next slide will tell you that both of these also have apps, both Android and iPhone. So there's a Canvas parent app that you can access from your phone, and then Infinite Campus, there's also, actually for Canvas, there's a teacher app, a student app, a parent app, and same thing for Infinite Campus, there's a student app and a parent app. So those are also nice handy tools to have on your phones once you have your account set up. Who helps my student with tech issues? Lots of people. So Infinite Campus, the guidance department can help you with that. District Gmail or G Suite login information, the library staff would be able to help you with that. Canvas, the library staff or teachers. Our teachers are very well versed in Canvas. We've been using it for 4 or 5 years now at West High. And then Chromebook or internet access, if you're having issues or if you need a Wi-Fi hotspot because you don't have internet access at home, please email the help desk at iowacitieschools.org. They should be able to help you get that access.
And segueing away into our guidance department, we're going to have Mr. Greg Yoder and Mr. Paul Breitbach kind of walk through the offerings of our guidance department. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Yoder.
Thank you, Mitch. My name is Greg Yoder, guidance counselor at West. I actually have students with the last name K through Q. A lot of different things that we can help with. In general, we help kids get where they need to be and find out the things that they need to find out. Some common questions that we get, about schedules and some of those other things, we do adjust. We're the ones who would adjust schedules. You can see the breakdown on the screen. I have K through Q. Ms. DeLeo has R through Z. We also, out of our office, there are 2 folks who work behind the desk, Patty and Sarah. They work really hard to try and get students and parents in as much as possible in a timely manner. We're dealing with something a little different this year. It's a brand new incarnation of the online school. And so we're doing what we can to try and build out schedules. We think we kind of know what we're doing with that. Mr. Breitbach might want to talk a little bit more about that, but we're getting more information daily as we go. So we just ask your patience. Our goal is obviously to make sure that everybody has their schedule as school gets started. We also, in addition to that, have a couple of folks who work out of our office. We have student family advocates. Annie Gudenkoff has been with us now for about a half a year. And then Christine Dugan is a new hire that I have not personally met yet, but is supposed to be starting sometime this week. And so we're very, very excited to have them in our office. We can help anything. We do what we can to help kids out because our goal is to have students be successful, if that's academically or social emotionally. If students are struggling and just need to unload on somebody or need somebody to talk to, our doors are open. Student family advocates are social workers in background, and so they are well versed in working with students. And then we also partner with a third party to provide counseling services within our office if something like that is recommended or needed, in addition to the outside services that are available within the community. So there's a lot of different ways that we can go, and we can help out in a lot of different ways. So please don't hesitate to tap into us as resources. Mr. Breitbach?
And just to add a few things, the high school years, it's amazing how fast these, if your son or daughter's a freshman, these 4 years will fly by. And so it's never too early to start planning. I mean, our goal is for our students to be successful both while they're here and prepare them for life beyond high school, whether that's going on to a 2-year college or trade school or 4 years school or the military or into work. So our office is a busy place. And so if you have questions, please reach out to us. As Greg said, we're here to help your students navigate through high school. It goes by fast, and these can be some challenging years for them, but they're also exciting years as they're building their futures. So really reach out to us. Anything we can do to help your student have a successful experience here, and just encourage them to get involved with something or some things. I believe there's a place or places for all of our students, whether that's athletics or music or the various clubs we have. So it's get involved, especially for our new students. It's a great way to meet other people and to kind of find your spot here at West High. So again, reach out to us with questions or concerns, and we'll be glad to help you with that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Breitbach. we're going to transition now into some of our health and safety protocols. I think all of us were hoping at the end of last school year that when we would start this school year, we would be in a different position with the pandemic than we currently find ourselves in. As we walk through some of the procedures and guidelines, I would just remind folks two things. Number one, oftentimes here at the school, we are the messengers. We are letting you know the policies that have been made at a much higher level than us, sometimes, outside of the state and beyond. But having said that, we are compelled to enforce those rules and those regulations to ensure the safety of our students and our staff. So I just wanted that context. Ms. Head is going to walk you through a little bit of some of our health and safety protocols.
All right, so because we're going to share this with parents tomorrow, I won't go through these district written things word for word. Mr. Gross, do you want to say something about masks before I get into this?
Yeah, two things. I will say this. As you are all aware that in late May, the governor signed a law that prohibited school districts from requiring the wearing of masks, of which Iowa City Community Schools was requiring that. So obviously we cannot require masks to be worn by students, and we're not going to be requiring masks to be worn by students. We are asking that students wear masks, especially in common areas and in classrooms. It's unfortunate that the wearing of masks has become such a political issue. I don't think any of us want that to be the case, but I will share, for example, we have 3 teachers here at West currently who are currently undergoing or within the last 5 months have undergone chemotherapy. We have faculty members and staff members who live with immunocompromised family members. So, that's why we've asked our teachers and our staff and our students to wear masks, but obviously, we're well aware that what the law says and about not requiring. So I wanted to put that out. The other thing too, that I'll say real quick is Ms. Head kind of talks through, and again, this is an example of what I'm talking about when I talk about that we're the messenger, that as Ms. Head talks about potential quarantines, that the rules that are set are not our rules. We're just passing that along. But what I can say is this: there are some different guidelines if you are or are not vaccinated, or if your student is or is not vaccinated or double vaccinated. So I want to be very clear: we are not, we are not saying one way or the other. But for example, if a student is in contact with another student who tests positive, if the student who is in contact is not vaccinated, they will be forced to quarantine. If they are double vaccinated, they'll be able to return to school under the condition that they wear masks. So the status of vaccination does have an impact on how or when a student would return should they experience an exposure. And again, that's not our rule. Those are rules that are passed down to us. So I just wanted to be the messenger of that piece as Ms. Head kind of walks you through some of the other issues.
All right, go ahead and let's go to the next slide.
Sure, yep.
So the first little piece here that I thought was relevant for parents to know for sure, especially if you have a child that's going to be riding district transportation, whether that's the bus to and from school or whether it's the bus during activities, that is the one place that federally we have to have kids wear masks. So if your child is going to be riding the bus, just make sure they've got a mask with them to wear in that setting, even if they're not planning on wearing one in other places. The other piece that's at the bottom of this slide is regarding more like extracurricular travel. So the bottom line is that the district is not going to reimburse families who spend money on booking trips that are related to some of these extracurricular activities. So the district is strongly recommending that people purchase travel insurance. And then the other piece of that I think is relevant for parents to know is that when your student is on the trip, they have to follow not only the guidelines of the district, they also have to follow the guidelines of the place that they're traveling to. So it could, if you're going to a state that does have a mask mandate, then that you got to follow the rules of the place that you're going to. So I think that's relevant for parents to know. Go ahead, Mr. Gross. So Mr. Gross talked about this a little bit already, but basically, the one not confusing and very uncomplicated piece of this is that if your student does test positive, they'll need to isolate at home for 10 days. And the 10 days of their quarantine period or isolation period starts from, if they're symptomatic, from the time they start experiencing symptoms, or if they're asymptomatic, from the time that they receive their positive test result. The blanket quarantine statement is, as it's written here, that individuals exposed to a positive COVID-19 case will be asked to quarantine for 10 days regardless of vaccine status. However, there are, I think, 7 or 8 exceptions to that. So we'll go to the next slide to talk about those. So you do not have to quarantine, and this is regardless of vaccination status, if both parties are correctly and consistently wearing a mask. So I'll make sure that the links here on this slide are live before we send it out tomorrow. But there's some helpful visuals that the CDC provides about what it means to correctly and consistently wear a mask, in terms of it covering your nose and your mouth, and you know, having it sealed as well as you can around the perimeter of your face, I guess we'll say. So that is one way that students could avoid having to quarantine, is if the positive person and the person that had close contact are both wearing a mask. The other 2 exceptions are just for fully vaccinated individuals. So again, remember, fully vaccinated means you've gotten both shots of either Moderna and Pfizer, or you've gotten the J&J shot, the 1 dose. But if you're fully vaccinated, and Gross already mentioned this a little bit, but if you have a close contact and you don't want to miss any time, you can come back as long as you agree to wear a mask consistently and correctly, continue monitoring for symptoms. And if you get through that 10-day period, then you're good to go. Or maybe it's 7 days. I'll link the district guidance too, so we can look that up specifically. And then the other exception for fully vaccinated individuals is that if you want your child to return and they're not interested in wearing a mask, they can just stay at home for three days, get a test, provide the negative test result to our nurse, and then they can go ahead and come back to school without wearing a mask if they so choose. It's a little bit different for unvaccinated individuals. So for this one, it's again the both parties correctly and consistently masking applies to unvaccinated individuals as well. But basically, you're looking at a 7-day quarantine period if you're unvaccinated and you're not masked. So if you can come back after, you can come back after 5 days. This is where it gets all confusing for me anyway. So 7 days is recommended. You can come back 5 days after the exposure if the exposed person is going to correctly and consistently wear their mask. And then they can return. Oh wait, this is, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is confusing for all of us, but this is the guidance. And if you have questions, certainly call our nurse, call us, and we'll make sure that we're telling you the least amount of time possible for your students to quarantine, because we don't want your kids at home. And we don't want them, we don't want them missing out on things. Let's see. Yeah, so really you've got to have mask wearing or having a negative COVID-19 test as part of the equation if you're going to come back as an unvaccinated individual from that quarantine earlier than the 14 days that the CDC recommends. There is a little piece there about at the bottom, if you've got a close contact with, and someone involved in that close contact is someone that's had COVID in the previous 3 months. So it's the same thing. If they're exposed and they, remain without symptoms, then they don't need to quarantine. So that's clear as mud, as our nurse told us today.
Yeah, and just thank you, Ms. Head. And just one thing to reiterate, if your child is forced to quarantine, teachers will be providing instruction in some form to your child, whether they're allowed to Zoom in, whether they're doing some live work on Canvas, whether there's some independent study, this, that. So having said that, it's important for us to have you help out at home to make sure that your child is doing that work and keeping up to date at home as well, because the last thing we want is a child to be at home for 7 or 10 days, not doing anything and coming back and being behind. So this is just another example where we really need to be communicating with each other and working together with that. And at this point, I'll introduce Mr. Hegel, who's going to talk about opportunities with West High athletics.
Good evening, everybody. Like I said, my name's Craig Hegel. I'm the athletic director here at West High. As Mr. Gross said, our motto is where excellence is a tradition. And I think you will find that not only academically will your student be challenged, but in athletics, our performing arts, our clubs. As Mr. Breitbach said, it's critically important to the success of your student that they find a way to get involved in something. My focus areas are athletic programs, which have been state championship quality. But again, I would encourage your kids to be in band, be in our speech program, which is outstanding. Our math club is a 17-time state champion. So lots of really great opportunities for you to get involved in athletics, performing arts, and clubs, and lots of different activities. Our fall athletic season has actually gotten started. Those sports would be boys golf, girls swim, boys and girls cross country, volleyball, and football. If you have any interest in participating in any of those sports, please contact me right away. We'll get you connected to the coaches of those various programs. If you have any questions about athletics, please email me. I will get you connected to the right person. We want kids to be involved. We want kids to be involved in multiple sports and activities. We feel that will provide your student a great experience while they're here at West High. One thing that we do ask, the second bullet point, is we do have to have a current physical for your student athletes, and they do have to register online. This is a different registration link, but hopefully it's not too difficult. I think we are going to send this out as well, email this out to you as well, but you should be able to click on this link right here and register your student. You can upload their physical. That way you don't have to worry about your son or daughter losing the paperwork. The dog can't eat the homework because you're going to send it in online. If you have any issues with that, please email either me or Brianna Nigg, my secretary, who is outstanding, and we will help walk you through that process. If you have forms, again, please send them to us. You should be able to enter them online, but we are here to help and support your students and our coaches.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Hegel. On September 2nd, during 7th period, we will be having a club fair outside in our courtyard. So clubs will be meeting this year, and that's something I think everybody's excited about. We want to make sure that students can get as involved as possible, to meet new friends, to create their own sense of community here at West. So we'll be having many of our clubs and their sponsors will be showcasing what they have to offer on September 2nd during 7th period. And here, one of the great opportunities we have is our theater program. So Theater West has two pretty amazing shows planned for this year. Footloose, which Mr. Hegel is going to be doing some demonstrations for later on, and Anastasia. And there's going to be an informational meeting on Wednesday, September 1st at 4:15 for anybody who's interested in being part of this. And this includes, thespians on the stage, also casting or crew members behind the stage. So lights and sound and props and costumes. And if you've not had the opportunity to see a West Side theater production, you're really missing out. And that's something we hope you take advantage of, whether it's to watch your son or daughter perform or just to support the program as well. So please check out our theater program. And these are also just some of the great clubs and opportunities we have. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think what we're very proud of here at West is that the respect that goes amongst our clubs and our students, and it's a very collaborative community where our musicians are supporting our athletes, who are supporting our debaters, who are supporting our thespians, and it's a very collaborative group of students here, and our sponsors and our coaches doing an outstanding job making sure that your child has as many opportunities as possible. one of the questions we always get are how can parents be or guardians be more helpful with their child's experience here at West? A couple of things, be as current as you can. We all try to do as good of a job communicating as we can, especially as things are changing. I will send out a weekly newsletter called The Weekly. Hopefully you're getting that. And there we try to just keep you, updated some briefly things that are going on. Hopefully we also have your communication, your email address and your phone number so that I can send out robocalls as well as email communication to you that way. We also have a parent, a PSTO, a parent student teacher organization that helps us really kind of have a liaison with our parents. Our parents and our PSTO, it's an excellent partnership. They provide meals for teachers during parent-teacher conferences. They provide gift baskets for prom. They provide wants and needs for teachers in our classrooms. So our PSTO is an excellent group of supporters. Club West is the athletic booster program here at West High School, and that includes all sports, all programs that helps promote the fine quality of programs that we have. And it raises money also. A big piece of that is Kinnick Stadium cleanup. The Saturday morning after every, or Sunday morning after every home game, it is the job of all the district athletic programs to clean up Kinnick Stadium. So I guess on a personal note, if you go to games, please don't order the peanuts because we'll be the ones cleaning up the shelves the next morning. Also, we have a fantastic and phenomenal music auxiliary to support our students who are in choir, orchestra, and band, and they do a boatload of work throughout the year as well. And I think one of the things we are really excited about is to have our musicians and our performers be able to showcase their talents much more this year than they were able to do last year. And at this point, we will all kind of be all hands on deck to attack any questions that you might have in the Q&A. And we'll try to do some of those live as well as write them down. So please, for the final couple minutes of this broadcast, which will be shared, we've recorded this and we will be sharing this broadcast out. So if you know somebody who is unable to attend or you want to double up and check something out, please do so. But also always feel free to call any of us at school. The phone number is 319-688-1050. And if you don't have questions, you can hop off the chat. That concludes the official program. But we will stay on here until we kind of dwindle down to just a few participants. But in the meantime, please feel free to ask any questions. And we are looking forward to an absolutely outstanding school year. And we deeply appreciate the support you provide us. Obviously, when we talk about educating a child, it takes a lot of work from the school and from the home. So we appreciate the great partnership we have. Thank you all very, very much.
One thing about our orientation on Friday, it is for students only. So parents, you can drop your student off at 10 a.m. and pick them up at noon. The students will be coming in and walking their schedule. Again, it's for students only. There's been several questions in the Q&A about student IDs. So students could have gotten their IDs at registration days. If your student needs a new ID, they can come into the main office and get a new photograph taken and get a new ID printed. They will need to bring their ID with them for lunches. Lunches are also free. So if they get the school lunch, that is free again for the entire school year. So that's fantastic. Just make sure your student has their ID with them, or take a picture of their ID and have that on their cell phone. Our lunch staff really appreciates that when they don't have to spend a ton of time looking up everyone's lunch account numbers.
Yeah, we have a question. What's the percentage of teacher and staff that are vaccinated? We don't have access to that information. What I can say that it's high. We had staff were offered vaccines and some of the early cohorts back in the winter, and we took advantage of that. We had a lot of our staff participated in doing that. I think those of us that are working in this field, wanted to get that sense of protection and to be vaccinated. So now, while I don't have a specific number, I do know that a high percentage of our staff have been double vaccinated.
If students did not take school photos, we will have a school photo makeup day on August 30th. Monday, August 30th will be for the school photos that you can purchase. Those will also go in the yearbook. Otherwise, they can come in anytime this week to get a student ID. Student Infinite Campus accounts, if they log in with their Google account, so it's their student Gmail account through Iowa City, it's icstudents.org. If they log in through that on Infinite Campus, they should automatically be in there.
I know Ms. Head is answering this question, but we had a question about, do students have planners this year? A couple of years, there was a decision made at West not to do student planners. And one of the things we'll be doing this year is just to survey students to see if that's do kids want planners or not. I think the thought had been that as kids have gotten more digitalized and use their phones, that planners have become a little bit archaic. But we plan to ask students their thoughts on that one to get their feedback.
If you are brand new to the district and you don't have a student email address yet, you can give us a call tomorrow in the main office. We should be able to help you with that. 319-688-1050. We can get you their login information so they can get that before school starts. And yeah, if you have a student who's brand new to the district and don't have a Chromebook, again, if they come to orientation on Friday, they can stop by the library and meet Jill or Tyler, and they will also be able to get them a Chromebook there and their login information. So it would be really beneficial if they could come to orientation.
All right. Well, we just had a parent maybe raise their hand. We will definitely stay on a few more moments. If people have questions, put in the chat. Otherwise, if you feel like you've gotten all your questions answered, you're free to hop off. And again, we really appreciate your time that you've given us tonight, and we look forward to an excellent school year. Yeah, there's not a specific orientation agenda. Myself and Ms. Head and Ms. Eustace and some others will greet students, and we'll talk with them about some expectations, and give them a very brief overview of our school. And then, as I said, they will have their schedule, and they will go through a mock schedule. Each period will be 5 minutes long, so they can briefly meet their teachers, as well as practice transitioning from class to class.